time today. Just incredibly triggered by a seemingly innocuous thing, car maintenance. I mean, not exactly an emotional topic, and yet, boy, was I set off. And I'm just recognizing a couple of things that I haven't really been able to fully unwind what even happened. It was so intense and lasted most of the day, pretty much all day. And I don't know if, this kind of fits what could be called pain body, or just a thing that other people have noticed this and described it in different ways. Just a thing that's looking for trouble. Essentially, it's looking for a fight. And I am aware that it's felt like that the past couple of days, that there's this kind of sudden flash of emotion, and it's like the emotion happens before a story, but the story fills in so quickly after the emotion. But the emotion is clearly like an overreaction, or seemingly not even related to the situation. It's just there's this sudden intense emotion, but if I'm not paying attention, if I'm paying attention, then I notice that that's what it is. But it kept trying. It feels like it kept trying, and it caught me off guard, and I wasn't aware. I was aware that there was an intense surge of emotion, but it wasn't enough to stay apart from a story happening in the mind. And then it just took off a million different directions. I don't even know. It was hard to follow it. It was just angry. It was so angry. And anger is something that I have really struggled with. I have a strong aversion to feeling it. I didn't allow myself to feel it for a long time. So there's a fear of anger in me. It's gotten a lot less. My discomfort now predominantly arises when the thoughts are directing that anger towards someone. If I can just be with anger, then I can appreciate and feel acceptance for just that sensation in me, and I can get behind it. I can juice it up. I can be in that experience and feel comfortable, because it's not directed at anybody. It's not blaming. It's not seeking anything. It's not accusing. This felt so out of control, I guess, and I recognize in saying that there's still a part of me that wants to control emotions. It was less about the emotion and more about the thoughts, and less about controlling them and more about identifying with them, more about feeling like they were my thoughts, and that therefore I was responsible for the thinking of them, and I felt not good about that. I didn't have enough awareness, though I was kind of fighting for it. It felt like all day, didn't have the awareness that something had happened, that first of all, thoughts and emotions don't belong to me in the first place. And while I have the responsibility of whether or not I allow them to influence my action, that's what I'm responsible for. I'm not responsible for the experience of them. They happen. Emotions happen. Thoughts happen. They don't happen because something went wrong. They don't happen because anybody is wrong or anything is bad. They happen. They occur. And so there's no judgment of them that's necessary, any more than judging the weather. A strong storm came through me, and I'm as responsible for the feeling and the thoughts themselves as I am for a storm happening. But where my responsibility lies, again, is in my reaction to that. Am I witnessing it? Am I allowing it to influence me and actually act through me because I have allowed its possession, because I've identified with it? And again, that's a really challenging thing when it's that powerful of a whirlwind. It's like it is just taking you over, is what it feels like. And I have experienced this. It's been a while since I've felt it like this. I guess I'm probably, I don't know, more comfortable with it when it doesn't include anger. If it's a depressive version, if the blameful thoughts are exclusively directed towards me, or if they're more generically directed towards society, then it's easier to see. But yeah, to just feel this anger erupting that felt totally disproportionate, and I was aware it felt disproportionate to the situation. But also I was at work and not able to really sit down and stay with it, and I also wasn't able really to talk to the other person involved in this, except through text, which is never a good thing, because text is, there's so much room for interpretation there, and that's what the mind in a negative spiral is thriving on. It's hard enough in a face-to-face conversation to remain aware and communicative about what's being expressed and experienced. There's just so much more room to fill with negativity in a text conversation. And I see how the mind was doing that. I could see how it was happening. I was predominantly able to remain aware enough that it didn't totally relieve me of my faculties, totally just possess me. But that's what it felt like. I did feel possessed. It did not feel nice. And I'm aware that, I don't want to develop an aversion to that experience either. It felt scary, but I don't want to add my fear to the fear of the experience itself. That's not, that just doesn't do anything nice. That's unnecessary, and it adds another layer of unnecessary suffering to the whole thing. If I'm resisting, this is an experience, this is just what's happening, right? This is just what is, and I did keep trying to come back to that. But God, the whirlwind of thoughts was just wild. And so supremely negative. And I could feel the fear. It was anger, but there was fear at the basis of it. And what I kind of came to, I don't know. And I'm not saying, this doesn't need a reason. It just was what it was. But it was such an intense triggering and sensation. So something was triggered in me, obviously, and I don't know the details of that, and I don't have to. I can just be with a triggering experience and communicate that I am triggered, and I did at least do that. That something is happening. I'm aware that something is happening that is a disproportionate response and maybe not even related, but it's telling a story now about this situation, and I'm trying not to listen to it, but also I am having a really hard time focusing. But what I kind of ended up feeling was that I really can't tolerate doubting in myself anymore. The doubting of my own security, the doubting of my own well-being. Obviously, it's there, or the perceived external doubt of it wouldn't be able to trigger anything. It wouldn't find any purchase. If I felt some, external influence of mind or other that expressed fear, which again is a natural, not a problem. It's not a problem to experience fear. But in this situation, for someone to have fear about my well-being, right? And essentially what I think happened is that triggered a doubt in myself of my own well-being. That triggered a doubt of my own well-being, of my own security. And I feel like that was the core of everything, and it created rage. It just created this righteous fury that was like, it felt like, who are you to tell me anything about myself kind of thing. Like a how dare you doubt my well-being, which sounds kind of crazy. But again, clearly that rage comes from a place of instability in me. Nobody put that there. Nobody caused that. Okay. This reaction didn't unfold because someone else experienced a fear of my well-being. It happened because that fear was in me and not being looked at, not being accepted. Being resisted in some way. I don't know. Or just the awareness that I have a choice. I have a choice to trust life and trust the security of my being in and as being. I have the choice to trust that or to not. And to not trust it fucking sucks. That's just what it is. Like, I can get on board with what I can get on board with my desire, to use the Abraham Hicks language, or I can suffer the contradiction of my desire, which feels really, really, really bad. I can stop needing to have evidence or proof. I can stop needing understanding. I can stop needing a mental understanding of it, and I can let the mind go. I can even let the mind doubt. See, that's the thing, is the influence The doubting influence wouldn't gain purchase if I was standing in my being, in my knowledge, and not in the mind. It's the mind that is full of doubt. It's the mind that is full of untrusting. Because it can't actually know. It can't experience the knowing of being, and the knowing of being can't be explained to the mind. It can't be proven. There is, I know what I know. I know this well-being, but it's when the knowledge of well-being enters the mind, it becomes belief. It changes from knowledge into just belief. And belief isn't stable. Belief isn't really secure. If I allow the knowledge of my well-being to become a mental concept, then it's flimsy. It's fragile. It is able to be questioned and trigger a tremendous uncertainty, a tremendous instability in me. So, I mean, it is a wonderful thing to have that triggered and to recognize, to have made very clear that I am not yet secure in the knowledge of my well-being. I'm not upholding that at all times because I'm not in direct contact with it at all times. And that's okay. That doesn't mean I've failed. That doesn't mean anything. It just is what it is. And it's good to know. You know, it's good to have your goat gotten so that you find out which goats have been left out. To have your buttons pushed so you know which buttons are still active and right out there for people to poke at. It's not a bad thing. And again, there's no blame, there's no fault, nothing went wrong. Just awareness from this experience that if I allow identification with the mind, then the security of my being becomes a concept instead of a reality. It becomes an idea. And that idea is very unstable. So my security cannot be from understanding. It can't come from a place of spiritual comprehension. Even though that's what my mind wants. That's what the mind wants, and it does keep trying to pull it there. My sense of my own well-being must be from my standing in the place of being, of pure being, and letting go of the mind, and letting the mind have the thoughts that it has. Letting the mind doubt, even. But when I am standing in the secure knowledge of my being, the experiential knowledge of it, the direct experience of it, then that doubt doesn't matter. Then I can experience even the sensation of doubt and not be concerned by it, not be affected by it, not be disturbed. Then doubt can be there, and anger can be there, but it's unlikely that the doubt will arouse such intense fury if I'm not identified with that which is doubting. If doubt is just an experience that is happening within me and it doesn't belong to me, it's not my doubt of my well-being. It's just an experience of doubt that I am able to witness And in my witnessing of it, and my standing in the place of witness, seeing it, not through it, not being it, then my well-being is known to me directly. And there's no reason to feel upset for the questioning of that. There's no reason to feel upset for the questioning of my well-being. Doubting is what the mind does. It is not made to trust. Doubting is what the mind does. And it doesn't come as any surprise to me that doubt is going to be my greatest ally, in a sense, companion, teacher, in terms of how to relax, how to really accept, how to really stand in my power, which means how to just be me, even in the face of doubting, not refuting it, not denying it, not trying to convince it, not trying to change it, but actually just standing there and saying, okay, I accept what you say, but it doesn't change what I know. I accept what you say, but what you say is belief, and that's totally fine, but I know what I know, and my knowing is for me. I'm not pretending to know it for you. I don't have access to your knowing. That's for you. But this is what I know because I'm standing in it. I am standing in my well-being, and I will not be convinced away from that knowledge by a loud and authoritative sounding voice in my head. And as a person who was once diagnosed with severe obsessive compulsive disorder, also known as the doubter's disease. Again, yeah, no surprise that there's a strong pull there. There's a strong reaction to doubt. And that the more secure I have felt in knowledge, the more powerful the doubt of the mind has become. Because the knowledge that I have is not accessible by the mind. And so the mind doubts it. That's what it does. It goes, well, you can't prove that. You can't prove that to anybody. You can't even prove that to me. You can't prove that to yourself. Well, I don't need to prove that to myself. That's actually just demonstrating that the self speaking isn't me, because it wants proof of something that I've experienced. And yes, I've also experienced gaslighting, and it's, just historically, my journey in this lifetime seems to have to do with learning to trust my own experience and let go of having to prove that, let go of whether anybody else believes that, recognizing that doesn't need to happen. What I have experienced is real for me, and also accepting this is true for other people. So just kind of letting go of doubt. Doubt is my devil, and all devils are friends. They challenge our most vulnerable areas, and in doing so, we learn how to strengthen those areas, how to stand more certainly in ourselves, in our being, how to trust our being. Really, it sucks not to. It sucks more and more not to trust. More and more doubting is painful. I I seem to have this choice that is presented to me time and again, like a little reminder or a little update, I don't know, that says like, do we want to keep trusting life? Well, it feels terrible not to. I don't know that I could actually tolerate not trusting at this point. Not trusting life, not trusting my well-being and my security, and that means accepting too. That's trusting, like trusting no matter what happens, I'm good. No matter what happens, I'm good. It's good. Everything is okay. I am okay. These things which I have feared so desperately, even if they come to pass, they don't mean what I thought they meant, you know? Because that's really why we fear things, is because of what we think they mean. But nothing means what we think it means. So all of these things that are feared can come to pass, and I will discover that they don't mean what I thought they meant, and so actually I'm okay. Everything's okay. They didn't mean disconnection. They didn't mean destruction. They didn't mean a loss of self and awareness. They didn't mean a loss of love. They didn't mean that I am terrible or unworthy. They didn't mean that my security or my well-being is in jeopardy. You know, nothing means those things. So anything that's interpreted as meaning those things is misinterpreted. But if I allow myself to believe them, if I allow identification with the mind, which believes them, it really fucking hurts. So I keep having the choice, am I gonna do that or not? Am I gonna willfully suffer or not? And it's not much of a choice anymore. I mean, it is, but my God, no thank you. I'm gonna keep choosing to trust, because I can't take the other one. It just sucks. Anyway, that's it. Love you.